Okay, everybody. Mr. Bowers, as always, and good morning. We're going to talk about the stages of complication as toward why we start off with something like this or this, to get this imagery, and trying to get it close to the next stage of the complication as toward getting extremely complicated, and the stage of going from these to these to something like this. Now, this doesn't seem very complicated, but actually, when I look at you guys, I try to think how I can make it the easy transition so you can get more and more complicated, feel comfortable and successful at it. Now, typically, there we go. Typically what happens, I would never suggest this on any level. Why? Because it's too blatantly shot this way where you got very few values. You have to invent those. You have to invent textures. You have to invent things. Now, there's things that I like about this. There's things I don't like about it. But after 2 days of working with it, this is actually the last complication you guys need in a classroom. It's something that's tough trying to make it happen. Now, I'm still working on that, by the way. It isn't over, and it's got some stages I got to go through. But you can kind of see it's not too shabby. So that's the reason why whenever you guys wonder, why I'm making you guys do these drawing exercises. They're exercises. Okay, that's exactly what they are. They're teaching you to work with your hands and eyes, making everything coordinated, because sometimes when we look at something and we go to draw it, this doesn't look anything like that. And that's because we're learning how to see. We're learning how to apply textures. We're learning how to use the pencil, i.e. detail, drawing. When I'm holding a pencil like this, it's always going to be about drawing. It's not going to be about detail. It's always going to be about trying to get in those larger shapes, trying to get the values correct. If I'm like this, I'm using the very edge of that. I'm using the very edge. So if I have in the shade, I'm doing that too. If I'm like this, I'm using the side of that pencil rather than just the tip. So I can cover a lot more. I can cover a lot more area faster. And that's typically, now everybody, all professional instructors, when they're teaching this, if you're going to a life drawing studio or whatever, they teach a different method. This is the method I'm giving you. Okay. Is it perfect? No. Does it work? Yes. So perfect doesn't have to be. Working definitely has to be. So whenever I'm doing this stuff, it's really there to prepare you for the next step. You can't get to painting unless you do this. And even when you get to painting, the problems are still the same. You're learning how to handle a brush. You're learning how to load paint. You're learning how, it's adding a component to it. Once you learn that stage though, then all the other stages become just replicated. Now, when you first move into a brush, are you going to use color? No, you're going to go black and white. What are we going to do? Same stuff. Same exact stuff. Landscapes, portraits. And you may think that's kind of boring, but here's the thing. You have no right to be bored if you've only done one. If you've done 50 of them, yeah, you can be bored with it, but that means you know what you're doing, and that doesn't mean to stop. Boredom is a sign that you've perfected the ability to where you can go on. Now, the reason why we feel bored right now is because it's not happening overnight. And it's like, well, I'm not learning anything, or I'm not getting anything out of this. But let me be the judge of that. Okay, this is my profession. This is what I do. And I don't mean as a teacher. This is what I do as a professional artist. Every single day of my life, I can judge better than you as toward where you're at. You might think something sucks and looks, and I'm sorry. Or you might think something looks really great when it's missing components. So you got to change your way of thinking. You got to actually think like a scientist, like a chemist, like an experimentalist, like a botanist. I mean, how correct is it to start off with? When you change it, it's because you've done things so much you can change it. Good abstract painters don't start off painting abstract. They start off painting everything like this, drawing everything like this, painting everything exactly as it is. Then they start saying, hey, look, I can take this out, I can take that out, I can leave this out, I can put that in. That's where that comes in at. So right now, this first year, you're learning how to speak. You're learning the terms. You're learning how to hold a pencil. You're learning how to the shade. You're learning values. You're learning the terminology it takes to really be an artist. And I don't mean a pretend one. I don't mean the one that's going to get a grade. I mean really how to be an artist. This is what we go through as professionals. So this has solely to do with complication as toward why we get more complicated. I can't make it more complicated until you actually figure out to do the first parts. Doesn't make any sense. I can shove all the information at you, just like they do on Twitter, social media, everything. Just shove it at you, right? Oh, I can go back and look at it later. If your assignments or any assessment of that, you don't go back. You just keep going forward. Now, we can keep going forward, or we can stop, slow down, take the time, learn how to do it, enjoy the process, and not be so frustrated if it doesn't turn out exactly. Now, for all the students who think their work is so awesome, working off of what I'm showing them, working off one of my examples, working off my process, that's something I hope you step back from, because it stops you from going forward. It's like, well, if this is so great, why do I need to do another one? If this is so great, why is he making me do another one? You might want to ask yourself that. Why, if you thought this one drawing was so great, but yet again I say do another one, there's usually a reason for it. And I usually explain my reason, like you're missing this, and this, and this. Well, I like mine better. Okay, who's the professional here? Who's the student? There's a reason why I say these things. And it's not to be cruel or hard or anything else like that. What I'm trying to get at is that there's components that are missing that need to be there. And you also have to realize why we're here in the first place. Not the idea that we're doing a frog on a cello. What is the sole purpose of this? It has nothing to do with the cello. It has nothing to do with the exactness. It has nothing to do. It has everything to do with the values. That's it. Solely. End of story. Don't take it forward. Don't go past go. Don't do anything. It's only the values. Okay, so when you start concentrating only on the values, are the values correct? Everything else is going to follow. Okay, that's honestly. If you follow the process, the answers will come. As you're working on these, you're learning terminology, you're learning actions, you're learning how to see, you're learning how to work all at the same time. It takes time to do that. Okay, this is not something you learn overnight. This is not something you can show somebody in a week and, oh, I know what I'm doing. No, this takes sometimes years to do. Okay, how do you think I got to the point where I'm at? Was it just doing, oh, I'm going to just do this once, I want to go on to something else? No. Because I understand, for me to understand this, I've got to do a variety of them to see exactly how complicated, how simple, how whatever it's going to be. And it also means that as I slow down, I am able to understand a lot more. But Mr. Bowers, you said we need to do these things quickly. Yes, in the very beginning, when you're doing landscapes. I don't want you to stop and think about this as a tree. I only want you to start thinking about this as a value. Oh, the rotating lines. Well, if I don't put rotate, if I do all the lines exactly the same, then it remains flat. I got to put in some rotating lines. We learn the language at the same time. So I think hopefully what everybody takes away from this conversation right here is that the complication is based upon expertise. It's based upon abilities. It's based upon a visual that I can get. The more you do it and the more complicated you make it for yourself, that's going to make my job easier, because you're doing it to yourself and you're seeing you have to go backwards to go forward. You can't just plow things through. You got to have a little lighter hand. You got to have a little lighter value. You got to be able to do things on purpose. You can't just, say, oh, I got it. And when I look at it, I say, no, I'm sorry, but you don't. Okay. You think you got it because you're seeing something here that you didn't follow, and I see something here that you didn't follow, and I can see those changes. And I'm supposed to. It's my job. Okay? So if I slow you down and say, do this, there's a reason for it. So guys, this has gone on for like 5 minutes too long, but I wanted to talk about this because, complication is how we really learn. Complication is how we actually get ahead of ourselves. Sometimes complication makes us stop, because if it's too complicated, we just block it. Okay, so just keep that in mind whenever you're in class and you're working and we're promoting work and stuff like that. I want you to do a lot of drawing. I want you to draw. I don't want to take 3 days to do a drawing. I want it done in 30 minutes, and there's a reason for that, and I've explained it many times. Okay. So there's a reason for the speed, there's a reason why to slow down, there's a reason why we talk about terminology, and there's a reason why we do everything in this class. It's set up specifically that way. So by the time you walk out of this class, you can grab a pencil, you can grab an image, and you can do a value sketch and amaze your friends. That's what that's all about. So guys, hopefully you've watched this. If you enjoyed it, hopefully this has been inspirational, also informational, as always. And I want you guys to have a good day. Consider what I thought, what I've said. And when you come into class next time, just be prepared that you may be stopped. I may step in. And that's another thing. Oh, before I end, that's another thing. If you're heading off in the wrong direction, I'm not going to let you head off too far in that direction because you're missing the point. I'm going to step in, ask you to get up. I'm going to get you back on track to where I see where you're at. And then I'm going to step away and let you go forward. Okay? I don't want it done slowly. I want it done quickly because you can't learn so much in such a short time without just going through these. We learn by attrition. If you don't know what attrition means, look it up. Okay, guys, I want you to have a great day. Consider what I said. This is Mr. Bowers out.